Hello, welcome to the TV room. David Bradley here. So I'm just now thinking back. It's been a bit more than a week since the World of Commodore, and there's a lot to digest there. There was a fellow there, young fellow, the next generation, and very eager, very avid. He was talking about his excitement for discovering that I think it was GEOS could support 3 disk drives. Which, of course, I didn't know, but see, I'm not a GEOS person, and I never will be. But anyway, so, yeah, there was a lot of familiar faces, not as many faces as I would have liked. One person who did show up, who I had not seen in a long time, and I don't think I talked about this, was Joe Cassell. And Joe Cassell was the man behind Communication Specialist, which eventually became ComSpec, and Electronics 2001, and such. And they were Commodore dealers, but also they were developers. And they made good stuff. It might not have been the cheapest, but it was good. What was inside the case was good, and the cases were good. And it was nice as I looked up and I thought, I think I know this fellow. And I looked at his name tag, and there it was, Joe Cassell. Yes, indeedy. Makes me wish that another fellow who I've been in communication with, who didn't think he was going to be able to make the trip, but he wasn't all that far away. Meyer Tool. They would have, I'm sure, enjoyed a few moments together, perhaps much more than a few moments together. Anyway, there were also some interesting moments when, and I don't think I've spoken of this. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a fellow who went last year, and he brought a whole bunch of stuff he wanted to demo. And then the people he was beside said, "Oh, no, we'll blow a fuse." Well, you know what? It takes a whole lot to blow a fuse. Generally, what I have found over the years working in educational institutions is you get a group together and they think they're going to connect like 4 of those sandwich toaster things together on one circuit, and then they're surprised when poof, none of them start working because they've blown a fuse. So anyway, when you have like 6 monitors or 7 monitors connected and they all draw about an amp, and you're working on a 15 amp circuit, or maybe it's a bigger circuit, like you could still do a whole lot more, and the computers don't do much. Anyway, there were very few plugs in this place, so I needed a plug, and somebody who I don't know if they were the ones from last year who tried to tell this fellow, "Oh no, you can't plug in because we'll blow a fuse." You know, I'm trying to think on a 15 amp circuit. Certainly, if you had um, 15 or so monitors plugged in, you might be getting there. But in terms of Commodore 64s, oh, it would take a whole bunch of them. Anyway, as they say on the North Pole, I would not play their reindeer games, and figured out how I could plug in and get access. And even though I didn't have a whole lot of room, I certainly was in no danger. No danger at all of blowing any fuse. So another thing happened along the way. This fellow, he had a table, and he had a 64. He said it wasn't working. Needed a new Vic chip. And indeed, shortly after powering up, things would start to shake, and then it would be like the pattern like of lines on the screen would get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And I just thought to myself, I don't think the Vic VIC chip is bad. I think there's something else going on here. So I took the VIC chip out of that, or maybe he did. I put it in my 64, and it was rock solid. And we put my VIC chip into his. It was rock solid, but when we put it back in, then weird things started to happen. But when he tapped it, things sorted out. And that reminds me of a pet I was working on once, where it was like, it seemed okay, but when you pushed on things, it wasn't okay. So anyway, he did explore, and it does seem that he had put a socket into a couple of chips underneath the video enclosure, and one or two of them, those pins, didn't actually make it through the holes, so they were kind of making contact on the top, but not very well. And anyway, I guess he corrected that. So the funny thing is, when it comes to sockets and not sockets, I love sockets. They're wonderful. You can run through a machine really quick and figure out what's good and what's bad, typically when you have another machine to test things in. And if it's not, then you come to the desoldering. And you hope that the diagnostic things will help you. Speaking of diagnostic things, I got at the World of Commodore a DES Test Max. Signed, no less. I have not had a chance to plug it in, but when you talk about things and desoldering things and stuff, one of the things that is really annoying, and I've already found this, I've got to work on a 2040 or a 4040 or something, and I've had troubles because of the flash codes, and then I did stuff, and then those flash codes changed to something else, and I did stuff, and now we're down to RAM. Well, this new DES Test Max, reportedly, it doesn't just give you flash codes and other such things. It will tell you which RAM chips are bad. So typically on a 64, there are 8 of them. And it will, like the guy showed me, he pulls it out and it's, oh, look. Anyway, so I will test this out. And I have some 64s that I believe I have delegated to the, what do they wrote? Intensive care, which means definitely desoldering would be required. Anyway, I'll see. I'll test. But anyway, it's a beautiful thing to know right away when you plug in a 64 if the RAM chips are good or if there are any that are bad and which ones are bad. Instead of, oh, we'll do all this, we'll put it back together and watch for another flash code. Let's see. And what this is, or what it comes as, is look. It's a cartridge. There it is. Just a little wee cartridge. But supposedly it's quite wonderful. Quite dandy, quite beautiful. Rather, why can't I get that back in there? Okay, it's back in the box, and here is a sticker. factorofmat.com. Once again, signed by the creator. He's the one who also brought me Bradley's Basic, which I need to use more, especially when I get into this SD card world, because it has commands built in that will let me do things that I need to do. Anyway, the main thing that I found about the World of Commodore was the camaraderie. And there was, I saw the people from Retro Rewind, and they had all kinds of cool things there. But also, boy, the one fellow, he had this solder drill, it looked like. And my golly, it was fast and it was beautiful. And I thought, wow, that is the way to go. Until I heard it was like $600. And I suppose if I was doing tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of it, I could justify that. And maybe I will at some point, but not right now. But it looked like a drill. You held it on the thing, pressed it, it made kind of this noise, and it sucked it clean. And it was doing a very interesting and difficult removal of something on, I think it was an Amiga 3000. It looked like a connector that had a lot of connections. And boy, was it ever fast, like, and efficient. It was lovely. Anyway, so they were helping with this 3000 thing, and there was also there was like a prototype of a 3500 that really never came out. And there was new stuff. There was like the next generation of people doing things. Joey Palumbo was, of course, there. He had books and things and historical things and all kinds of things. And it really was a great sharing place to be. Near the end, a fellow who I met, who he has a, what do they call it? A photographic mind. Anything he reads, he remembers. I'm more of, tell me a story, I'll remember it. And he told me the story how he'd written this program, but he hadn't put it into anything. He'd just written it, and he went into an Apple store and was entering it in and got it pretty much ready where he could run it. And along came the Apple salesman, some weasel weenie, who didn't ask what he was doing, didn't check in, and what are you doing? Because maybe the guy would have said, "Oh, look at that, that's kind of cool." He just shut off the machine and basically said, "If you're not buying, no, you can't do that." Well, as best as I can tell, from that day to now, which is probably more than 40 years, this fellow has never bought an Apple anything, nor will he. No way, no how. Yes, in other words, rule number 1, the customer is always right. Rule number 2, when the customer is wrong, refer to rule number 1. And that doesn't mean you do anything. There are times when you do, and I've had to, in the past, sort of confront people about things and set them straight in a nice, polite manner. But yeah. So anyway, it was nice to see him, and just what, there's always faces now. There, of course, there was one face, Tom, who was not there because he passed away, and that was very sad, very very sad. Yes, I had spent many times at many World of Commodores talking to him. I had. Anyway, the long and the short of it is, um, infections are bad, and you got to deal with them. You got to get on them. Like right now, I've been suffering from on and off from this infection from a biopsy, and but I've been seeing these wound care specialist people, and if they say, "Yo, I think this is getting infected," then a doctor is quickly summoned, and on to antibiotics I go, because like even Jim Henson died of an infection that he didn't take. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got a cold, I got whatever." Anyway, so infection is bad. And even though the whole world is screaming, "Oh my, don't take antibiotics," if you got to take them, you got to take them. So far, I've just been having to take pills, but I know that there are IV antibiotics if it becomes necessary. The sad thing about the, well, I get along with antibiotics, but oh, they make me so tired and they just mess with my digestive system. So it's hard to even go out and drive somewhere without saying to myself, am I going to be okay out here driving in the world, or am I going to need to stop suddenly? Anyway, I am dealing with it. Trying to think, who else did I see? Of course, there were, Lucas was there. He was running the show, doing all the recording. Good job. Who else? Leaf. Leaf was there. I seem to think I got in the middle of something, in that I think Lucas thought there was going to be an auction for a couple of Tom's computers, and asked me to go to Leaf and find out what it was, and then Leaf said, "No, there's no auction." I was like, "Oh, okay." I knew nothing. I was just kind of like, the messenger. But and by the time you see this, it'll be over. But apparently tonight there is an online auction, and the proceeds go to the Diabetes of Canada. And I guess I'll check it out and see what they are, and see what's what. Not that I need more 64s. And no, I won't. I can't. I won't be bidding. Anyway, there was a whole lot of stuff of Tom's that was given away. And I tried to stay away. But I did get some T-Pug discs and things. Not sure what else. I guess from the freebie table, I ended up with a couple of circuit boards and a 1541. And I'm pleased to say that the shortboard 64 with the Super PLA that I despise, I was able to pass along, because it did seem the fellow from Retro Rewind needed one. Now, I don't know what else was wrong. It didn't have all the chips. I hadn't even had a chance to plug it in, had a chance to spend but a moment on it. But he said it might be helpful. So I said, you just take that. But I would like to get a Retro Rewind hat. I would. Oh well, maybe next year. They have a nice logo. And I did end up with the 1541 once again. Hadn't had a moment to even look at it, test anything, do anything, turn it on, not plug it in, nothing. And but I did bestow it upon the young Geos man, hoping that he could get it going, and that he could blow out his Geos system with all the drives and have a wonderful experience. The wonderful experience that I never had with Geos. I'm trying to think who else. I see one person who I very much missed was Stephen Gray. But he continues to do incredible things quietly. Another genius amongst us. Rudy of Rudy's Retro Intel was there. He actually did a presentation on the Super Pet, which should be at some point online. And I suspect he may do another video of what he did there, if things don't look right, probably with the slides and things and such. Anyway, he had quite a journey in fixing Super Pets. And there's no documentation, but there is now, because Rudy made a manual for the 2-board and the 3-board Super Pets. And the other thing, of course, is, as if you heard, I was talking to Rudy the other day, heat is the enemy. And he's working on a setup where you can have a fan inside a Super Pet to prevent, well, mostly it's the ROMs. They get hot. And he did talk to a fellow who was involved in the original making of the Super Pet. He said, yeah, we had heat problems. And why they didn't put a fan in way back then, I don't know. But they should have. Because, with a lot of computers and a lot of things and a lot of stuff, it's just been standard now. Like hell, some machines now, they've got like water-cooled things on the CPUs. Heat is the enemy. So if you have a Super Pet, especially if it's not moving around much, like you're not taking it places, you know what? Just get a little fan, 120 volt fan. Set it inside, in front of where the power supply is, If you want to secure it somehow, secure it somehow. Otherwise, if it's always just sitting in the same place, put a fan in there. Just a little wee fan. Turn it on. Maybe if you've got it on a power bar, have it just come on. Move the air. Save the super pet. Anyway, it was funny because Rudy left, and then suddenly Rudy was back. And I said, "What are you back for?" Anyway, they had been using little microphones like what I use to record things, which is a beautiful, magical thing. And after Rudy's talk, he had to go. He forgot to take the microphone off. So he came back and handed it over. It would have worked out otherwise somehow, I'm sure. Anyway, there was a lot of people there, and I'm just struggling to remember all the people and all that went on. And yeah, there was one fellow. He used to be on the board of directors long ago, and I don't remember him. I think Richard would know him better. Richard is my twin brother, and his daughter is now interested in the 64. And I gave them my number, but I haven't heard from them. But I said, watch Kijiji, watch Marketplace. Things happen. Yes, there's a lot of very expensive things on there, but once in a while, things appear at a good price even. I was recently tempted by a couple of Vic-20s and a bunch of things, but I really didn't feel like driving all the way to Hamilton. So when he said someone else was interested, I said, that's fine. That is dandy. But anyway, they're just, you know what, if you're looking and you don't have one and you really want one, Kijiji, Marketplace, I'm sure there's other local things, garage sales, thrift stores, here and there. Just keep your eyes open. There are out there, and some people are not looking to make a whole lot off of them. They just can't see crunching them up. They just can't see it. So, actually, I had wished that they had called me because I did see there was a 64 and a disk drive in Sarnia. And if Hamilton's too far for me, Sarnia's too far for me. But if they were interested, that would be the thing. So I think that was on Kijiji. Or Facebook Marketplace, I'm not sure. Anyway, if you're looking, it's like anything. I don't go looking. But sometimes things find me, or I find them. And I try not to do that. But, things happen. So, they do. Like right at the end of the World of Commodore, I'd been looking at these two 1571s that Joey Palumbo had. And not that I really wanted them, but there were three, but eventually there were two, so I guess one sold. And I said, hey, let me know what you want. I was in my car, just about to drive away. Joey appeared. And of course, he then, as the day was over, the night was, starting, and it was done. He told me what I could get them both for. And I pondered. Wasn't sure how much cash I had. Didn't quite have that much cash. But it all worked out. Oh, one thing this year, I did not do the dinner on Saturday night. And normally I do, but I was tired. And I had to get home because I had to come back. And I had heard that from other people that had gone to the Swiss Chalet the night before, that maybe, possibly, they did not have the best of experiences. So I think there were two groups. I think one group was going to go to some steakhouse, and the other was going to go to the Swiss Chalet that was close by. Anyway, I went home. I did indeed. And, I know what I had. Did I have? No. It was Sunday. Sunday I had to leave, and it's too bad because this fellow, the nice fellow, the genius fellow, the fellow with the photographic memory showed up right near the end. And I talked for a while, but I had to go because I had a couple things to do on the way home, and then I had to get to wound care. And indeed, I made it to wound care with perhaps 5 minutes to spare. Not that I think they would just say, too bad, so sad, because I've been going there now for quite a while, and they know me, and I've never been late, so I think if I was just a little behind schedule, I think they would be fine. But Saturday, I was just tuckered out. So maybe next year. And maybe, who knows, maybe next year I'll convince Sanders that we should just go and stay the weekend. But it is frustrating that the Admiral Inn, from what I know, doesn't give any discount to the people from the show who stay there. And that's too bad, because then, of course, more people would stay there. And that, too, would add to the joy of the experience. It would. Anyway. It is getting... No, it's not time yet. It is getting to be into the evening. And I'm really not feeling that great from the antibiotics, but I gotta take them. And I gotta go to wound care, and it's been freezing rain. And you know. So, but I'm pretty pleased right now. This desk area is somewhat cleaner. It's not there yet. These little buckets I've been using, I think I'm gonna, especially these little ones that were from McDonald's, I'm gonna be done with. I'm gonna specialize. This one here, oh, good golly, Miss Molly, it's heavy. This is from Star Wars. What's it say here? Star Wars, The Force Awakens. But I do need to have things better organized so I don't have to go looking. The things just are where they need to be. Yeah. So, well, I'm going to do a couple more things on this pet. I think I do want to connect another data set and just test it out to make sure. And yes, I've done the data. I had them back to back and used the other one. I just want to see what's what. I would like to get something working in there, but we'll see. It would be nice to have it completely, totally happy, working, secured, and just Jim dandy. But we'll see about that. So, I think what I will do now is, as I look around here, there's the odd, I've got a whole bin of recycling to take down. So, what I'm trying to do every time I move is take something that needs to go somewhere. So, I will grab a few things and go downstairs and see what's what. And yeah, maybe. I don't know which data set is working now. Of course, I know the one in the other pet is working, but I really don't want to take it out. It's a lot of kerfuffle to get a data set out of a chiclet pet. It just is. So maybe I need to do more data set testing and find one that works, and then connect it to the ports in the pet. Make sure I know what's what, and carry on. But anyway, above all, if I can't do anything with this, it can't sit here. It's got to be back over there behind the TV, and I got to move on to other things. I do. And that is what I will do. I haven't decided what to... You know what? I really do want to test out this retro rewind thing, so it can help me find bad RAM chips. That would be beautiful. Beautiful. So, enough for now. I need to ponder and gather and go. By the way, Penny's still doing okay, Penny the cat. She just doesn't come up here much. She really has bonded well with Andrew, and they seem to spend most of the time together. And that's okay. For quite a while, she was sort of my cat. She'd hang out with me, but things evolve, people evolve, pets evolve. They do. So, we'll see you again back in the TV room, and I'll see what it is that I'm going to do next. Thanks so much for being here. Bye for now.